Hello and welcome to Dungeon. I'm your host Rob. In today's video we were going to be doing the Order of Domain Cleric, but instead I took a trip to my local gaming store yesterday and found two things I would rather talk about. So we'll be doing that video still, don't worry. The first thing is not the subject of today's video, but I found the Tome of Beasts 2. Now if you've watched my channel before, you know I'm a big fan of a lot of third-party monster manuals. This one is quite good. It's a lot smaller because I was going to buy the big hardcover one, but it was literally twice the price, and I was still going to buy it. But then I found this, Arcana of the Ancients. And so I decided I'd get the small paperback one instead, and get this in hardcover to, the chagrin of my pocketbook, of course. However, I'm pretty excited about this book. So for anybody familiar with Monty Cook, this is from Monte Cook Games. He did the City of Tolos, if anybody knows what that is, from 3rd edition. And basically he's done a lot of stuff for, he's done stuff for TSR D&D, he's done stuff for Wizards of the Coast D&D. It's been around forever. He made his own game systems, one called Numenera, which is kind of what this is sort of based on, I believe. And this is basically just an attempt to add science fiction elements to your fantasy games. And there's a huge section with tons of ideas on how to incorporate this kind of stuff into existing campaigns, or how to build a new campaign, whether you want this stuff to be obvious or if you just kind of want to sneak it in. And personally, I just thought that was a really cool idea for an entire book, honestly. And I think if you look at things like, say, the Artificers and stuff these days, there's definitely a little bit more of that sci-fi influence in the D&D game. And this just gives a tons of rules for this kind of stuff. It also has 3 adventures in it, which is pretty nice. The first one is pretty well done, I think. I haven't read through the other ones yet, but I like how it's just kind of this subtle introduction where the players don't necessarily know what they're looking for. They just think they're doing like a dungeon delve, and it turns out to be this, ancient relic from this long dead civilization. So they have a bunch of different things they introduce. They have things like ciphers that are kind of more like a one-shot item, kind of like a scroll or a potion would be, but they're all like technologically based, of course. Then they have things like relics that are, more reusable. They have things like iron flesh that are basically just cybernetics or bionics, those kind of things. And rules for dealing with all that kind of stuff. They have like some mutation rules. They've got rules for, finding and extracting stuff. And, rolling to see what just random stuff does. The artwork in this game is beautiful. We'll go over a bunch of that in a bit here. They've got tons of rules for just, all sorts of things like automation seeds and banishing modules, battle armor, battle suit, beast lures, blinking nodules, bouncing boots, body duplicators, brain fodder, burrowing boots, breathing field spinners. It's just all sorts of just crazy high-tech things that you could add to your game. And I kind of like this. I don't know that I'd want it to be everywhere in my game world, but even in the game world I'm currently running, I do have areas of kind of lost technology and stuff, and the players have never gone there, but there's actually this one just giant floating sphere, and everybody thinks it's done by magic, but all along it's actually been this hovering spacecraft type of thing that was found. It was originally built by some ancient civilization, but then the Yuan-Ti and the Serpent Folk of Yig, who were, not as ancient, but still very ancient, basically figured out how to use it, kind of, and now it just kind of hovers over this one city, and it's directly above the Temple of Set. The players have never gone there though, but they have heard of the thing. But like I said, they don't know what it is. They just think it's a giant black metal sphere that's probably propped up by magic. They have a monster manual-ish type thing, and I really like it. They've got things all the way from challenge of 1/8 to challenge rating 30. So quite the range. The artwork, like I said, is spectacular. We'll look at a bunch of this stuff more in a minute. They give like descriptions. Every single monster in here has a picture, so that's very nice. There's about 100 monsters altogether that they have described here. Everything, of course, has 5th edition stats because this is made for 5th edition. So that's good. Like I said, 3 adventures to get you started, a bunch of monsters for ideas. They have a whole section. Chapter 4 is all about like mastering the Arcana and talking about like how to use this in campaigns, how to consider like magic versus technology, and a lot of it just uses straight up D&D rules. Like a lot of these items require attunement if they're particularly powerful, and that counts as one of your player's attuned items, right? A lot of them have a certain number of uses per day. So like you might have like a bionic arm, and then 3 times a day it can do something special. But when it's depleted of charges, it's basically just like most other items that have a number of uses per day. Your arm will still function, it just can't do these special functions anymore. You have to rest, let the batteries recharge, and then tomorrow, after your long rest or whatever, you can use those 3 functions again, whatever they might be. They have a lot of stuff like that. They have DM advice for how to use things. They've got like random tables. They've got a whole section on building new campaigns. Like I said, they have 2 more adventures. The first adventure is for level 3 characters. The next ones are for like level 4 and I believe 5. All of them are pretty cool though, from what I've seen. Because I've read the first adventure in its entirety. I've only skimmed through the next 2. Then they have a section on Arcana by rarity, of course, and different types. You know, just different tables on everything. Like I said, the artwork in this book is just awesome in my opinion. So I think I'll just hold the camera and we will flip through some of the artwork and look at some of the stuff in more detail. So, like I said, I really like a lot of the artwork in here. I think it's very, very well done. Here's the Introductory Adventure, The Hills of Crooked Sleep, with all the setting and background and information. They've got a bunch of different types of things. They have ciphers, relics, and iron flesh. They have a few other types of items as well. Obviously, they got stat blocks for like everything. You can see the magic, or quote-unquote magic, item section is quite expansive. Here's our monster manual, and like I said, every single monster in here has photos. I think that the artwork is really quite good. Monty Cook's like Numenera has just some excellent artwork in it in general, so that's not really a surprise at all. I just really like the idea of I don't know if I'd want it necessarily to be the focus of an entire campaign, but I really do like the idea of adding in a bunch of high-tech stuff in certain circumstances. Even if it's just like an adventure, the players end up going through a portal, find some other world, have to do something there, and, you know, discover a bunch of this weird, crazy technology stuff, and have to come back. I think that, if you look at, say, like Jack Vance's Dying Earth books, because, you know, definitely stuff like that, which incorporates a lot of technology, lost technology, but even like the Shannara books, you know, the Sword of Shannara, the Wish Song of Shannara, Elfstones of Shannara, all those books take place in like a post-apocalyptic world where you have, you know, like I remember in the first book, they find some sort of giant creature that has all these like metal plates that have been like bolted or welded to it, and, you know, they find like the ruins of these ancient cities and civilizations. But, you know, they're also in a world where like magic exists, and magic is, you know, kind of come back and stuff, right? The third adventure is called The War Slug of Aldrazor. And, you know, that looks pretty entertaining. Giant slug creature trying to swallow the entire city. I think that it just has a lot of like cool potential for a campaign, and just gives some interesting ways to change things up and just add an extra element to your game that players might not really be expecting. And I do think that, sometimes I don't really necessarily like those kind of elements in a campaign, but sometimes, especially if you've kind of had that idea in mind or have kind of designed a campaign to incorporate that kind of stuff, it can be a lot of fun. I really like this picture here. I already showed it, but I just think it's pretty awesome. And it really does kind of have that, like, look, there's a dwarf down there, some of the pictures of elves in it and stuff. But this one, like, it really does kind of have that Thor Ragnarok, or like the Thor series from Marvel as well, where you have this, guy with a hammer who's a medieval Norse god, but, a lot of their, like, the Bifrost Bridge uses, like, technology more than anything else. And, it's just like that Arthur C. Clarke quote, which I'll probably butcher, but basically it's like any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic or whatever it is, right? And I really do like that kind of aspect. I think that these would make some interesting adventures if you had, I don't know, different alien civilizations or whatnot the players had to deal with. I think that a campaign focused on that stuff could be really cool. But even just as a one shot, or even just adding it in as an element to a certain campaign, I think that kind of stuff would be neat. Another one that really blends these type of genres together would be like the later Wizardry games, if anybody played those, which I know they're ancient, so nobody's probably played them. But, Wizardry 1 was back in like 81 or 82 or whatever it was. But then with Wizardries like 6, 7, 8, 9, all around there, they started adding in a lot of technology stuff, and ended up starting having off-world adventures and stuff, and they added in a lot of like science fiction elements to those. So anyways, those are my thoughts on this. Just a pretty quick video. I will be back though with another video talking about the Order Domain Cleric, and we'll probably try to make a video covering the Toma Beast 2 as well. Because frankly, I'm the kind of person who can just never have enough monsters to throw at my player characters. So anyways, that's everything I've got. Thank you for watching. Bye.